I'm excited to share. Actually, I'm ecstatic. This is my ecstatic face. That I think I have the solution to my steering problem. As you recall from the previous videos, if you've been watching, the steering snapped off down by the steering box, not up near the EPS unit that I thought was the problem. But no, actually, some good old boy back in who knows how long ago, 20, 30 years ago, stick welded the steering back together, and it broke. And thankfully I didn't crash. But anyway, my solution is these two little guys. Double D Borgeson couplers. My eyes are up here. All right, as you can see, I had removed the shaft from the EPS unit and wrapped it in this saran wrap, hoping that it would keep everything together. As they turned it, things wouldn't fly off. And I believe it's a success. We shall see if I can get this saran wrap off with all the tape. All right, so I got the tape removed, and what used to be here was splines, but as you can see, it has been milled down to exactly 3/4 inch, and then he shaved it down to where it'll fit a double D coupler. And thankfully I had the couplers at the time, so he was able to fit everything and make sure it fit like so. So the idea is it gets tightened here. I may remove one of these actually on each part of the shaft all the way down to the steering box and drill just a slight indentation so these Allen bolts can grab onto something. But either way, this is much more solid than the U-joint that I had there, and I won't have to worry about things flexing, at least I hope. So all right, I'm going to jam this thing back together, and you all can enjoy some time-lapse music of my choosing. Okay, that took a little persuasion with the hammer, but it was just the gears having to spline back together. Now to find all my snap rings and attempt to reinstall without removing an eye. Let's see. I just bought my new Harbor Freight. These are the old ones. I said they were dead to me, but there's always a use for tools. I don't throw anything away. I should, but I don't. These are kind of slick. You just rotate it and it switches from pinch to pull. In this case, we need pinch. They enjoy slipping off for some reason. I think I need shorter ones. Get you in the notch. Okay. I believe that's it, but I'm going to tap it to make sure it's seated. And if it spins inside the groove, then we're good. I believe that is in. Yes. All right. Last one. This one is a spread. This one should be easier. Yeah. Definitely. Don't think that's correct. I think it goes flush. There she goes. And I believe it's in the groove. Appears to be. If you can see in there, but there's two rings. There's this outer ring, and then there's this inner ring. I'm not sure that I have it all the way in the groove, because those tabs should be closer together. So let me jam on that a little bit, and we'll keep going. All right, so this is the other shaft that needs to be installed. The wiring, it's much easier just to remove it from the grommet. And that's all there is to it. You put a couple of bolts in. And then I'll plug this wire in and attempt to get the grommet back in its hole. All right, so as you can see, there's the plug. All right, so we'll plug the wire back in, put the grommet back, and this will be done. All right, time to show you the magic of the double D couplers. So this is the steering box. Again, this was welded. This used to be all one piece, and again, it was welded and it broke. So I got the bright idea of milling this down to double D coupler, and she fits great. Nice and snug. All right, don't make a fool out of me right now. There we go. All right, we'll make sure that's all the way down. I think these are spun in a little bit. I mean, the tight tolerances are nice, because they was not going to go in there otherwise. I'll put this all back together in the truck. It's a little easier to install separate than all together, but I wanted you all to get an idea of how this is going to look. Boom. Here she is in all of her glory. I think the first thing I'm going to do before I get this back in onto the frame is set the tolerance on this, because when I was messing with it before, I didn't know this was snapped, and I thought there was something going on in here, and I tightened this bad boy way down. So I'm just going to bring this out a little bit. We can adjust it. When I say we, I mean me. Can adjust it a little bit more once it's in the truck. We'll see how sloppy the steering is. Why did I go from a 17 down to a 14? Mark's borrowing my tools again. Poor Mark. He doesn't even live here. Just realized this thing is empty. Thought I had some oil I could put in there, but I do not. So I'll do the right thing. Put this back in the truck to where I have to contort to get this off and then put the oil in. Yeah, that's how we do it. Figured I would let you all watch from on high and I'll get underneath and attempt to put this steering back in. Let's see how this goes. Everything's great when you have to do everything with one hand. All right. Just gotta finagle this out. I should say in. And this goes like this. All the way in. I'll put the pitman arm back on and we'll have to align it. Make sure we line up the keyhole. Note to all you shade tree mechanics, mark things before you take them out. Don't be like me. I'll know I have it wrong when I can only steer left. All right, I'm gonna struggle with this for probably an hour and I'll get back to y'all. Well, that didn't take as long as I thought. Only an eternity. So I've got the pitman arm hooked it back up. Excuse my face. All right, it's just the way it is. And I'm gonna just snug this for the moment because I need to adjust the angle for the steering later. So I've got the lock washer and the nut back on the pitman arm, and this will still rotate, but this allows me to line up the shaft and ensure everything is straight before I tighten down the steering box. Hopefully that's a good enough angle. I'm gonna grab the steering shaft and we're gonna slip it in the double D coupler down there. I can already tell this needs to come up to roughly there, but that's fine. At least I can line everything up and then tighten it up. Oh good, it moves around that way too. I may have to snuggle. I may need to snug that brace up for the steering arm slightly so it doesn't rotate side to side. So I finally found the steering column. This is from a 2014 Hyundai Velocidor, if I remember right. And so I got to put this back on the EPS before I bolt it to the dash. Pretty easy, it just slips on. Which was the bottom? I believe I had it tucked up like that. So this goes like that. Perfect. Got a slight amount of play in there. Perhaps it was like that before and I just don't remember. All right, so now to line up this coupler. What's easier? Doing it this way? Get these bolts out of the way. I'm probably gonna have to tighten that up first so it stays put. And then adjust this because I have a feeling I'm gonna have to turn this shaft to match. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna tighten those two bolts down. It's kind of like a U-bolt that holds the steering box to the frame, and then we will go from there. Well, this is usually how the story goes. So I was gonna tighten up the bolts on the steering box to the frame and the lock washer. I don't have one with me. Well, it's basically destroyed. So until I have another one, there's no point in trying to tighten it. So I'm gonna go I might get some nylon lockers as well as lock washers just to make sure everything doesn't go anywhere. And so I'll be back. It won't be much time for you, but it's probably a good half hour, 45 minutes for me. So anyway, we'll see you then. I got a bone to pick with you, Home Depot. No 7/16 inch nuts. I'll take that back. They did have the nuts. They did not have the lock washers. So I bought grade 8 instead. $8 later. All right, whatever. So I'm gonna stop complaining for first world problems. Let's get the steering back together so I can actually test it. The nice thing is I don't have to hook the exhaust back up to test it because it's electric. I just gotta turn the key. I got the washer here. Just poke that out of the plastic. Wow, that's pretty. Get the nut on there. (7/16" inch 20 point, if anyone is wondering what is required. All right, I'm gonna get this one off and then snug these up. All right, I'm gonna attempt to push this over whilst holding a wrench box end on the end of the bolt whilst tightening that. And I will stop using the word whilst. I'm hoping I can just get the box end of this wrench to stay put. So let's make sure I'm tightening and not loosening, because that'll be frustrating. Yep, she's wanting to move already. Let's tighten this side up a tad. How's it doing? Once I get these tight, I use the trusty Milwaukee impact wrench. I think that's snug against the frame. Let's tighten this side some more. Less wiggly, good. Tighten this side a slight bit more. How's she doing wiggle-wise? Oh, she's not moving now. Hopefully I got the right angle of attack. Yeah, buddy. Get on there. Just a little bit more. All right. Let's see what that looks like inside the truck. Not sure if you can see through my jungle of wiring, but I've got everything snugged up, except for this. This might be a problem, and I'll tell you why in a second, but I have the Borgeson couplers in place, tightened down, both down there. If I could get closer, there you go. That one's tightened to the steering box. This one is tightened to the EPS. Now with this, before, this was snugged down on top of the shaft itself, or I should say the sleeve underneath the column. However, I noticed that if I tighten this down, this can still slide back and forth. So if I turn this, this is just going to turn with it. So I've got to hook my braces back up. If you remember, see those holes there? That's where the braces were connected. And that hole right down is where the brace is connected to. The issue is when I removed that U-joint, it took about that much out of the steering column, so everything shifted. So I'm going to check out these old braces. I say old, they're new, I just made them. But anyway, I'm going to try to reconnect these. I may just have to drill another hole a little farther down Worst case scenario, I may have to shift it down the firewall a bit and then also drill a new hole, but we shall see. Either way, it needs to be snug so it's not, you know, shifty. Here's how it's going so far. So I did have to cut the brackets down, had to shorten them about 1 inch and cut new holes so I can get it to the firewall. And I have lots of holes in my firewall, so I need to plug those eventually. And like an idiot, you can see one is towed up and one is towed to the right because I cut the wrong side. So they're gonna stay like that because I don't feel like spending money on new bars. So now this bar here goes up to the top of the firewall. I would like it to go here. So the easy thing to do would just be unbolt it and then slide it down to where it connects to here. That would be a great pivot point to keep it from moving. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you an update and we'll keep charging at it. All right, a little bit of a struggle. Not too shabby though. So I was able to rearrange the braces. I'm going to show you what it looks like before I turn on the power steering. All right. So it's on pavement right now. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Kind of. Anyway, you get the idea. There's a little bit of flexing going on. It's mostly because of the dash. It's just not strong enough, but it's better than it was. So I'm going to hook up the electricity and you're going to see the magic happen. Got my rat fink keys to the kingdom. So as before, should hear a click when I turn on the power. All right, got my keys in. Let's listen for that click. There it is. Oh, she's working. And she just shut off. Or did she? Yeah. Try that again. I may have to have the motor running because if there's not enough amps, if this thing doesn't have enough amps, it shuts off. So try that one more time. There's the click. Oh yeah. All right, sweet. Now I just need to put the exhaust back on, put the brace of the exhaust underneath, and should be good to move. All right, I haven't moved this thing in months. Literally like 3 months at least. A couple pumps. Wait for the click. There it is. Oh, saw that. All right. See if I can burn my arm here. Oh yeah. I think I just ran over something. I'll warn you now, it's gonna be loud. I just want to see how long my steering lasts. The steering wheel is a little off center. Let's fix that real quick. I do need to put a bolt in it. She's a little squirrely still. Steering's tighter. amazingly, temperature gauge still works. Might be getting a little warm. Fuel gauge, it's hit and miss. Oil gauge, that works. Charger does not work, but you get what you pay for. See what damage we did. Does not appear to be boiling over. It's good. I don't even have a catch tank or a, what do you call it? A spillover tank? Come on, words, people. Coolant expansion tank. Yes, thank you. My brain does work once in a while. Well, she's back to her resting place. And the missus will like it here better too, because the last time I parked it, we basically backed the trailer in, dumped it off, and this is the angle it was going to stay. Steering did not work. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Please subscribe. If you like what we're doing, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.